old property cycle. It's done the same thing for over 100 years. Where are we on that cycle? We're going to take you through it right now. Stay tuned.
Good morning, Mark.
Billy Drury, the old man in a young man's body.
Thank you for having me once again on this fine Monday morning in Sydney. We were just saying the weather's been really good lately. It's had a bit of a turnaround.
It is the perfect day. It is 10. Actually, you know what? 20 degrees. I reckon blue skies, not a cloud in the sky. This is my favourite day of the weather of the year. It's just a corker today.
Agreed. Get out there, have a bit of fun. It's a good day. It's a good way to start the week, actually. But we've got a topic that a lot of people have been talking about, but what they haven't got is the most amazing graph, image, whatever you want to call it. The
explanation. Circle of life. That's what it is.
We've nailed it. We're going to talk a little bit about where we are in the market, but I think this is nice that it's simple, color coordinated. It's easy to read.
And people, the majority of people, probably 95% of people, are very reactive to what's happening to them right in the moment. They're not really long-term visionary, hold the fort for 5 years, it'll be all right in the next 5 years sort of people. It's sort of like now, what's happening now, read the media now. You know what I mean? And it's like, is it like, it's scary, but I think if you poise yourself and look at the style of people that do very well in business, in life, very long-term, very generational thinkers, and I think this graph supports that property cycle to show that you've got to look long, you shouldn't look short, and when you look long, what do you see?
That's it. Luke said,
that's me.
Nothing much changes long term. As you said, it's done property market's done consistently the same numbers, the same type of growth over 10, 20, 100 years. Doesn't look like it's going to change anytime soon. Yeah. Do you want to share screen now?
It's good morning to Anmal, yes. And one more comment from Anmal. True, got to look at the context of the bigger picture. It's definitely the bigger picture. It's the long-term picture. What does it look like? Let's have a look.
One more question, Mark, as we go into the circle of life. How often do you see these? Come round? So you might not be able to see that too well. We are going to zoom in, but the property investment circle, 4 different stages: boom, slowdown, recovery, and slump. I should have probably done that in order. But your top 2 are a seller's market, high confidence, and then your bottom 2 is a buyer's market.
Yep.
So
it is that cycle on average should be about a 10-year cycle. Sometimes this cycle will happen over 7 years, 6 years. Sometimes it'll be over 12 or 14. A little bit unpredictable that way. It doesn't work like a clock, but it does work like we're looking at the moment. So it does follow these cycles in order to get through to the next period.
So on the back end of last year, we were coming out of a boom, very evident with the big numbers.
Yep. That was a boom. And if we explore a boom there, what does that look like? Shortages of tradespeople, more buyers than sellers, intense media interest in the market. It's funny that's on the back end, not on the front end of the market. We definitely experienced that. We're testing our memories for the last 12 months. That would be in the property market.
Yeah, that's almost every indicator of a boom, and every single one of those 4 points definitely happened. So no question about that. The slowdown though, and it's interesting because in the boom they're saying hold or sell, and now they're saying sell. Is selling the only thing you can do in a slowdown market, Mark, or are you saying long term, just do what you've got to do and hold it for long?
Look, I think if you're going to buy and sell every property market, you're not going to make that much money out of property, because stamp duty 4% on the what you paid when you bought it, stamp duty 4% on what you're buying on your next purchase, agents fees at 2%, and then you may have some capital gains tax. Mate, you're not going to make any money if you're selling every cycle. So I'd suggest to people out there, generally just buy and hold stuff. And the cycle is great to understand where you are, even if it emotionally carries you through so that you don't shit the bed. I think it's good to know.
Yeah, it's a good point. Hold. So a slowdown market, low rental yields. Is Sydney always low rental yields, Mark, or do you think they do fluctuate a little bit?
When you look at it nationally, and I've been having this conversation a lot lately because I've got investors that are talking about buying nationally because they're trying to get away from land tax. If you buy in another state, generally you get a brand new threshold. But generally, yeah, Sydney's always been a little bit lower on the yield, but Sydney's always been fabulous on the capital growth. So if we've done an average of 5% on yields and an average of 10% on capital growth, that's a 15% amount of money that you can make out of your investment. Most states over the last 50 years would be very challenged to come close to doing what Sydney's done over the long term. So, but then again, over the short term, definitely there's been some speckles of other places doing better that would challenge Sydney, but I still believe in the long term.
Yeah. Do you think we're in an affordability crisis? We've got a lot of people saying that finances may be getting a little bit harder to get a hold of. But are people simply priced out? Is that the reason the market's slowly dying? Or is it dying, leveling out?
I think for affordability comes in a couple of forms. The banks won't give you the money to buy. Is one, i.e. interest rates potentially go up, and then you got your rate of assessment's different than what it was, and you won't get the loan, or you'll get a smaller loan, so you can't afford it. And then also, I think, raw materials, inflation, that sort of stuff is making stuff very hard to afford as well. So there's affordability on a couple of fronts that we're approaching pretty fast.
Yeah. Before we get to the next point, we've got a question here from Ben. Mark, they listed in Terrigal this week. Would you advise auction or listing at a price?
I would say if your property has features that are certainly very rare for Terrigal, then I'd be more prone to going auction. But then if you have a property that it's very similar to everything that's on the market in the area, then you may choose to compete a little bit on price as well. It depends on your style of property, unfortunately. But in the hot market of the boom, irrelevant to what I just said, everyone was just bloody auctioning. But we're changing in that little bit of a market now. But I above that, I would just, if it had features that are rare, then I'd be auctioning. If it was a bit of a unicorn, I'd be auctioning. Back to the slowdown.
Rising interest rates, there's definitely talk of it. We haven't seen a huge hike just yet, but rising interest rates, that's definitely an indicator we've started to see.
Yep.
Construction price is dropping. I think it's probably the opposite from what I hear in the market.
Opposite at the moment.
Yeah. High unemployment. Again, I don't know if that's so true.
Yep.
That
All right.
one seems to be quite good at the moment. And then a slump. How many slumps have you seen? Real slumps?
1, 2, maybe 3.
Okay.
So a recession in back in '92.
Yeah.
88, and then in the 80 in the the GFC 1, GFC 2. Yeah, so a couple there.
Yeah. And would you say we're in a slump at the moment, or even close?
Nah.
Okay, cool. So tradespeople readily available. That's not the case at the moment. Property prices fall, more leveled out is what we've seen. High rental vacancies, absolutely not. And more sellers than buyers, absolutely not.
So traditionally, that's what's happened. And when you start seeing those markers, guys and girls, that's the market that we're moving into.
Yeah. Okay. And recovery, again, you've got to imagine some of these quarters might move quicker than others. Would you agree in that, Mark? As in, like,
Yeah, well,
you know, although they're broken into 4, some will definitely move quicker than others.
Yep.
And then your sort of recovery stage, rentals increase, low rental vacancies, housing levels tightening, and then rising housing prices. But I think it's interesting. It's a nice visual way to look at it. But some markets will even perform differently, as in micro markets. You know, Sydney versus regional. I think that's another way to look at it.
Yeah, and look, I think that you may find that cycle is different, a little bit state to state. I.e., it's the same cycle, but it's timed differently to your area. That cycle doesn't. Everyone isn't consistent on that cycle around the country. But I do think I really am looking forward to that rental market pumping, because it's been a long time, a really, really long time. And I was talking with the landlord, I think it was yesterday. It's been probably 10 years, and we've probably only seen 10 or 20% growth in the rental market. That's all in 10 years. So, yes, the property market's doubled or quadrupled in some parts, but the rental market's nothing. So I really think that's got to be the next mover and shaker, and you can see where that sits on the quadrant.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely overdue.
Big time. And that is the circle of life in property. You'll find that on our Instagram, sitting there, that circle, if you need it, guys and girls. But yeah, look, I think we operate as business people differently through those different quadrants, and I think life will be pretty bloody boring if it was any other way. And I do have to put a message out to people on that boom market. The property market has stabilised. The property market has gone back to normal, and it was just ludicrous last year. So if anyone's wishing that the property market was going to continue like it did last year for the last 12 for the whole year, into this year for the whole year, I'd suggest that we'd be driving a car into a brick wall. The correction would really, really hurt. So we don't want a property market that does 30% a year. We want a property market that does conservatively 5 or 10%, and that's your double every 10 years. Safe.
Nuts to normal. And we've got one more question, which we will cover this. We'll cover this tomorrow. What happens if Labor wins, and does a particular government help property on its way better than others? Can we do that tomorrow, Mark? That's
yeah, let's do that tomorrow, because you did when we were off air, Billy did bring that up. So it's obviously clear people want to know, and I guess it's pretty big talk at the moment. So let's do that tomorrow. And anything else?
I think that's it. That's nice. All of those pictures, diagrams, facts are all on the Novak Insta, Novak Facebook. So follow the socials. That's where they will get posted. It's nice. Makes it easy.
Yep. And you know what a cracker of a topic, close to my heart, and I think close to all Australians' heart, property ownership. And, you know, at the moment, people don't know whether they're Arthur or Martha, but you can sort of ground yourself, ground your emotions by looking at that. Because, you know, a lot of people property is just the thing that, you know, you go to a barbecue, it's on everyone's mind. So it's just hopefully that graph's going to help sort of map it out for people a little bit.
Yeah. That's it. Have a good day.
That's a show. Enjoy the beautiful day, and hope that everyone enjoyed that F1 yesterday. What a cracker of a race. Well done to Ferrari. And, I've never watched the Formula One. 400,000 people, record crowd for any Formula One in the world, turned up yesterday.
They need to get over to Sydney next. Down Spit
I
Road.
think that horse has bolted.
But yeah, such a good event. How good for Australia.
That was great. Absolutely. Take care, mate. Everyone have a great week. See you, Billy.
Thanks.